the largest owner of farmland in the world. Okay. Now, I believe that and increasingly, by the way, in India, in all the schemes that come up, everything, increasingly, it is only the land owning farmer who is being recognized as a farmer. Whereas, I mean, just look at the state we are in. The tenant farmer is overwhelming in numbers, but we've even had senior people, possibly the next chief minister, say that there's no such thing as a tenant farmer in Telangana. It is very frightening if you look. Okay, I will also say that the Kisan Andolan of 100,000 farmers at the gates of Delhi for a year, it was very interesting to me how aware they were of the problem I'm talking to, because millions of farmers in this country are actively dissuading their children from going into farming. Okay? And what I'm saying is that they were not just fighting about the repeal of 3 laws, they were not just fighting about MSP and loan waiver, they were aware of the fact that they are fighting for their very survival. You know? Just take just a few countries and what the heck is happening. In India, apart from the millions of hectares of farmland that have gone since, say, 1991, millions of hectares of farmland disappeared. Between the 1991 census and the 2011 census, we lost farmers at the rate of 2,000 every 24 hours. I'm talking about main cultivators, full-time farmers or main cultivators. Between the 91 and the 2001 census, the number of main cultivators fell by 7.2 million. Between the 2001 and 2011 census, main cultivator fell by 7.7 million. That is 15 million roughly in 20 years. That's about 2,000 plus every 24 hours on average. We don't know, we've not had a 21 census, and I really don't know whether the 26 projection will stay honest and they will have a census in 26. There's really no way of knowing it at all, because that's going to be tied to the 29 elections and the delimitation and all those things. But simply, the population of farmers is plummeting. So, we are locked into in many ways, many respects, into the US model. You know that there was one, as late as the 1960s, 30-35% of US population was involved in farming. Another 10-12% were linked in allied occupations to farming. Today, less than 1% of the United States population of some 340 million declare themselves as farmers. There is no separate category in the US census for farmer. It used to be that till the 2000 census. Now you have to go to the others menu. In the drop down, you choose farmer. Right? So I don't think they have restored it from when I saw it a few years ago. Now, less than 2 million people live on farms in the US. And, oh, by the way, our own last our last NSS round, 77, showed us that farmers were earning more from wage labor, from livestock, from other things, but declining income from cultivation. Okay? We have made farming a nightmare. It's not just as if it has become suddenly undesirable. In this state, and meaning in the unified Andhra Pradesh 30 years ago, any farmer choosing between for his daughter, a government servant at the state level or an engineer would go for a farmer with 20 acres paddy. Okay? Now you look, no one will ever think of a farmer in terms of marriage anymore in any state in this country. That's how it has plummeted. In the US, one of the things, untold stories of COVID, for instance, in India, was, by the way, the number of people who returned in the reverse migrations was between 4 and 6 crores. Between 4 and 6 crores. 40 to 60 million. And please understand that the wrong question was being asked, why are they going back? The question was, why did they come here in the first place, leaving their villages? Because of the collapse of agrarian society. That's why they came to our cities. So I don't know what the next census will show, but I believe that many of those crores have returned to the city because they have two options. In Mumbai, I can see that many of them have returned. In the European Union, there used to be, in the original 12-member EU, before other nations joined it, there used to be more farmers and more farms than there are today. Despite the fact, and by the way, so that has fallen from some 16 million farms to 9.3 million farms in 2023. And 38.3% of all those 9 million farms are in the single country called Romania. Okay, which is like a kind of third world within Europe, within the EU. 38% of all farms in Romania, of all farms in the EU, are from Romania. You take Germany, it had more, one time, 50s, it had more farmers than it does today. Even after the reunification of Germany, you look at, so the number of farms went up with that reunification, but it's far less today than it was in 1989. It's dropped like anything. Brazil, I'm talking about big countries. Brazil, which had, 30-40% of people in agriculture some 40-50 years ago, 12% of farmer people are in agriculture now. In Africa, which is being subjected to the tender mercies of Bill Gates and his green and green revolution, also they have a different set of problems, but there is some beam of hope there in the numbers of farmers in some countries, but that is also in decline. And in South Africa, there is also the problem of who owns that land. Overwhelmingly, it's in the hands of the white population there.
Africa.
Zimbabwe did a little more in terms of land reform, but they too are in very big trouble. I'm trying to tell you that it's a very real possibility that your great-grandchildren could live in a world without farmers. Remember, now we've got AI as well to add to the party. Yeah? You could maybe 2 generations from now see farmers existing. They'll exist in every country as token, maybe as tourist homestays, tokenist picture, scenic.
Agri-tourism is very common all over the world now.
Yeah, it's very, very common all over the world and actively promoted in India, for instance. Yeah. So you are looking at the possibility there of a world without farmers, unless we are doing something about it. I would also, by the way, I was telling you how few farmers there are in the US. Trump's tariffs are going to destroy the small farmers, the very few small farmers who produce the largest US agricultural export to China, which happens to be soybean, about $16.3 billion. Now, China can get it from Brazil and others at half that price. Yeah? And maybe they will pick up something from Vidarbha also, which for all we know. But the fact is that that small tiny population of independent small farmers in the US is going to take a lethal hit with the tariffs war. The sheer thing about for me, if you look at it, after humanity passes the tribal period, every civilization after that has been based on the family farm. Now, by the way, China still has a very substantial number of farm population.
Yes.
However, very substantial.
Yes.
However, land ownership is a different question. What kinds of land ownership you have? I would say that in terms of owning land, India has the largest body of small farmers who are landowners, however tiny that land that they own. And here they are plummeting. Like the Chinese thing is very complicated for me to understand in terms of what has been made private, what remains in co-ops, what the nature and structure of those co-ops is. We really don't know. But the thing is, in 98, 99, we all spoke of a farming crisis. By 2004, we were all using the term agrarian crisis because it was much bigger than just farming. It affected the entire agrarian society. By 2010-11, it was very clear in election results and elsewhere that you were looking at a societal crisis. Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, urban areas voted very much in step with rural areas in the 2004-2009 elections. Right? Everybody has a relative. Mumbai and Delhi are the two exceptions in the cities of India to this. Everybody being connected somewhere. But that connection is also being lost. But I'm saying it was a societal crisis. I'm saying what you're staring at now is a civilizational crisis. An entire class is being severely suppressed. It's being wiped out in many ways. And I don't know. Maybe people are comfortable with that idea. But our entire story of agrarian distress is destroying livelihoods in farming without any alternative being offered. How many jobs did you create? The first page of the McKinsey report, Ramanjan Naidu will remember, of Mr. Naidu's favorite document. It said we need to get 40% of people out of farming. Yeah, 40%.
That is still happening.
It is still happening. No, and in fact, he did it very enthusiastically.
Talking about.
He did it very enthusiastically.
And also lost election.
Also, by the way, I also made it, actually what Suman Sai says is correct. I find that almost any government that vigorously implements a McKinsey report loses the next election. Yeah? I cannot think of exceptions. I call them.
Modi has not lost. He's been using McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group,
Yeah,
Arthur
yeah.
Anderson.
The
whole statement
Yeah,
has been
I'm
run by
saying,
them.
I agree, but I'm
Sooner or
saying,
later he will.
but he has also maintained, he has also provoked resistance on a scale nobody else has seen. I would say that I can show you that in the 2024 June election, the June results, 70 constituencies in which you can say farmers were the dominant voters that the ruling party lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact. So I'm saying is that you're looking at a civilizational crisis. The urgency of this, of turning this back, brings into all these other issues, into linkages and connections. What is private, what is public, what is common, what is patented, what is not. All those other issues are tied to the fact of what is the farmer and who is going to be a farmer. And will there be farmers as we know them? I think that should lend urgency to our looking at these issues. Thank you.